In House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 7, we saw Vermithor and Silverwing get claimed, Daemon finally makes progress with the River Lords, and Alicent takes a dip. In this video, I'll break down the episode and point out all of the hidden details or book lore that you might have missed. Kicking things off, we see Rhaenyra confront Adam of Hull, who was claimed by Seasmoke last episode. The fact that Seasmoke has claimed a new rider seems to indicate that Laenor has died off-screen, since in the books, there has never been a case of a dragon bonding with a new rider while their old one still lives. Rhaenyra begins the conversation in a hostile manner, which is understandable. As far as she knows, some random dude of unknown loyalties has just essentially claimed a nuke in the form of Seasmoke. Fortunately for Rhaenyra, Adam bends the knee and says he is loyal to her. He has worked for House Velaryon his entire life, who are bound to Team Black after all. Rhaenyra questions Adam's parentage, to which he says his mother had a shipyard and his father was no one of consequence. In the books, his mother is Merilda of Hull. She had two sons who had silver hair and purple eyes, marking them as having blood of old Valyria. Initially, she claimed that Laenor Velaryon was their father, but given Laenor's sexuality, many whispered that Corlys was actually their true father. However, Rhaenyra hasn't read the books and doesn't know any of this. She begins to question whether it is worth, blood, or something else entirely that enables one to bond with a dragon. For centuries, the Targaryens have clung to the Valyrian histories that suggest only a select few dragon-riding families have the magical potential within their blood to bond with dragons, which is likely all a result of some ancient blood magic ritual. The opening credits of House of the Dragon even hint towards this line of thinking, depicting two figures who are likely ancient Valyrians making an offer of blood to a dragon with the face of a man, symbolizing that through blood magical sacrifice, the Valyrians bound their bloodlines to dragons. Initially, Rhaenyra had studied the histories in search of any marriages between House Targaryen and the other noble houses of Westeros, hoping that some blood of the dragon still existed in their line. This is why she thought Steffon Darklyn would be eligible to claim Seasmoke last episode, as a Targaryen had once married into House Darklyn. But now that Adam has claimed a dragon, Rhaenyra begins to question if this is all just Targaryen propaganda, a way to position the Targaryens above everyone else and deter their rivals from even attempting to claim a dragon and take that power for themselves. Rhaenyra still suspects that Adam might have Targaryen blood in him, and together with Mysaria, they determine that perhaps his line derives from a bastard of House Targaryen. Many Targaryens were known to squirt their seed into brothel workers and fishermen's wives over the centuries. Mysaria, as a former brothel worker, even knows of at least 40 small folk who are bastards of House Targaryen. These bastards come to be known as dragon seeds. Rhaenyra sends out a call summoning the dragon seeds to Dragonstone, hoping that two among them would be able to claim the two riderless dragons, Vermithor and Silverwing. Vermithor was once the mount of King Jaehaerys Targaryen. Silverwing was the mount of his queen Alysanne Targaryen. They are both massive beasts. Vermithor is currently the second largest dragon, just behind Vhagar. If Rhaenyra can get a rider for each of them, Team Black will pose a considerable threat to Vhagar. Taking down Aemond and Vhagar would be a great way to force Team Green to surrender. The episode primarily focuses on the dragon seeds and how to claim a dragon, but not everyone is on board with the plan. Jace thinks that if a Targaryen bastard can claim a dragon, it will greatly diminish his position and future claim on the Iron Throne. Most of the realm believed Jace to be the bastard son of Harwin Strong. However, Jace's ability to bond with a dragon was a big piece of evidence to support the claim that he is the legitimate son of Laenor and Rhaenyra. But the idea that any old Targaryen bastard could claim a dragon reduces the weight of this evidence. Jace fears that after Rhaenyra dies, he will have a difficult time maintaining the throne in light of these future accusations. He even questions what happens if one of these silver-haired bastards with a dragon desire to become the new king of the Seven Kingdoms. A bit of foreshadowing, perhaps. Despite the future problems that allowing small folk bastards claiming dragons might bring, Rhaenyra sees the dragon seeds as her only option to win this war and secure the Iron Throne in the first place, so she goes ahead with the plan. Like Jace, the Dragon Keepers are not on board with the Dragon Seed plan. They think that letting anyone without pure Valyrian blood to claim a dragon is an abomination. Their leader says that the Andal's attempt to claim Seasmoke was blasphemous, in reference to Steffon Darklyn's attempt to claim Seasmoke last episode. The Andals were the second race of humans to invade Westeros after the first men. They brought the faith of the Seven with them, and the religion frequently clashed with House Targaryen regarding their Valyrian practices. In the Dragon Keeper's eyes, says if an Andal were to claim a dragon, it would go against everything their order aims to preserve and might lead to the realm rejecting the idea that the Targaryens were superior to other men. So the Union of Dragon Keepers all quit. Without their knowledge, the histories of Valyria and secrets of dragon riding might be lost forever, and symbolizes the oncoming doom of House Targaryen. We know that Dragon Lord blood of Old Valyria is essential to claim a dragon, but how do Ulf the White and Hugh Hammer possess this magical blood? Hugh Hammer reveals that he never knew his father, but his mother worked in a pleasure house. She was granted more freedom than most because of who she was. Hugh says that she was Viserys and Daemon's aunt. She could just be a bastard daughter of Jaehaerys, but this seems unlikely. I think the show is adapting a bit of book canon, and based on Hugh's knowledge of his mother, I think she is Sarah Targaryen, the daughter of Jaehaerys. In the books, Sarah was a rebellious woman and was no stranger to getting her cheeks clapped, but her behavior angered her father, and he forcibly sent her to become a Silent Sister. The Silent Sisters were an order sworn to prepare the dead for burial, but also took vows of chastity. The whole chastity thing did not sit well with Sarah, so instead she forged her own path and escaped across the narrow sea, where she became the owner of a pleasure house. Jaehaerys was outraged and cut all contact with his daughter, but on his deathbed, he mistook Alicent Hightower as his daughter Sarah, believing that she had finally returned home. However, Jaehaerys died shortly after, but his final thoughts were likely of his long-lost daughter. These thoughts may have imprinted onto Vermithor, who was bound to Jaehaerys. So who better to claim Jaehaerys' dragon than the son of his beloved Sarah? Hugh Hammer. Just like how Seasmoke claimed Adam due to the familiar scent of Laenor that lingered within Adam, Vermithor may have accepted Hugh due to the familiar scent of Jaehaerys' bloodline, combined with the king's final thoughts being of Sarah. These final thoughts might have lingered within Vermithor for the last few decades, which makes Hugh's claim of Vermithor poetic. Ulf the White claims to be Daemon and Viserys' half-brother, making his father Balon the Brave. Balon was the son of Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne. Queen Alysanne's final words to Balon were, "You will be a great king, even greater than your father." So like Jaehaerys, her final thoughts were of her favorite son Balon. Perhaps this subconscious desire wormed its way into Silverwing's mind as well, and upon encountering Ulf, the dragon remembered Alysanne's final thoughts as she smelt the familiar scent of Balon. But it's like Rhaenyra said, the reason behind why a dragon accepts certain riders but rejects others is a bit of a mystery. It could be their worth, their blood, or something else entirely. In Hugh's case, he also demonstrated to Vermithor a sense of bravery and willingness to protect a small folk dragon seed. Vermithor was once the mount of a great king who was brave and fierce, but also had a concern for the small folk. He even implemented a number of new reforms that directly helped them. Perhaps Vermithor saw a glimpse or an echo of King Jaehaerys within Hugh, which influenced the dragon to take him under his wing as his new rider. This might demonstrate that Hugh's worthiness was the reason that Vermithor bound to him. But Ulf bonding with Silverwing stands in contrast. Perhaps it was simply forged from the power in his blood, or maybe it was something else entirely. He literally trips and falls into her lair, and through sheer dumb luck or the will of the gods, Silverwing thinks Ulf is just a goofy little guy and accepts him as hers. George R.R. Martin has intentionally left the mechanics of dragon bonding a mystery, but I do enjoy the show's ambiguous interpretation of it. Also, Hugh yelling at a dragon is a bit reminiscent of Jon yelling at Viserion in Season 8. It seems being a dumbass runs in the family. Meanwhile, Corlys visits Adam, and although he is still yet to admit that Adam is his son, Corlys says that he is proud of him, words that Adam has long desired to hear. All his life, he wanted to be seen by Corlys. Corlys also views himself as a self-made man. He single-handedly made the Velaryons the wealthiest house in all of Westeros off the strength of his own back. Seeing Adam claim Seasmoke likely reminds Corlys of himself, which gets Corlys thinking about his own legacy. Corlys recognizes the fact that Adam claimed a dragon through the possible Targaryen blood from his own family tree. He informs Alan that he too could claim a dragon just as Adam had, but Alan refuses and says he is of salt and sea. Since Luke's death, Corlys has had no clear heir, and hearing that Alan is all about that sea life has to make him think that perhaps Alan is a worthy successor. Meanwhile, at Harrenhal, Daemon finally gains the support court of House Tully and the Riverlords. Lord Oscar demonstrates a girthy boldness, standing up to Daemon. He says, "It seems you have made a mess of things here," echoing what Rhaenyra said in one of his visions. Like Rhaenyra, Oscar has to clean up after Daemon. Oscar means to uphold the oaths of his father and offers his support to Rhaenyra's cause, but first he needs to clean up Daemon's mess. Daemon ordered Willem Blackwood to convince the other Riverlords to bend to his will, but Willem used brutal and violent tactics to achieve Daemon's desire. This greatly angered the other Riverlords, and they demand Willem be punished for his crimes. Oscar forces Daemon to dispense justice upon Willem and symbolically clean up the mess that he has made, teaching Daemon a valuable lesson that a problem doesn't always require such a rash and violent approach. But Daemon looks broken by the weight of his actions. Perhaps he is not built to be king after all. This idea leads directly into his vision of Viserys. His brother offers Daemon the crown, appealing to the long-held belief that he would have made a better king, but Daemon hesitates. Throughout his time at Harrenhal, these visions have preyed upon his guilt and desire to be king, and have pushed him to come to terms with the fact that he might not be made to rule after all. Viserys appears in his decaying form and says the crown crushes whoever wears it, which symbolizes both the physical toll and mental weight that wearing the crown requires. In the behind the scenes, it is revealed that the face carved into the weirwood tree in the Harrenhal courtyard is none other than the big man himself, George R.R. Martin. Set designers etched his likeness into the tree to pay homage to the author of the series. Alicent falls into a depression. In a way, it's like she is walking in the footsteps of Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra felt rejected by the men of the realm her entire life, just as Alicent has been discarded by the men of Team Green. Both of them received similar cuts to the wrist. Both got their cheeks clapped by Criston Cole, and both run away from their lives to go camping in the Kingswood. For a long time, Alicent felt that she was above Rhaenyra, but now realizes she's no different from her. Alicent ends up taking a dip, and from her depression, it seems she is going to Tommen herself. But she gazes to the sky, seeing a bird flying free. In Season 1, Rhaenyra expressed a desire to fly away with Alicent on Syrax. Perhaps this reminded Alicent of this moment, and now she has a renewed purpose, which I think will lead her to join Rhaenyra and Team Black. Meanwhile, in the Vale of Arryn, Rhaena, Viserys, and Aegon leave the Vale. Last episode, the Prince of Pentos said that he would shelter the children so that they would be safe from the war that is consuming Westeros. As they are leaving, Rhaena breaks off from the group to seek out the dragon that they saw evidence of last episode. Given the burned remains of sheep, it is likely the beast Sheep Stealer, one of the 3 wild dragons that existed in Westeros at this point in the timeline. The show is clearly setting up Rhaena to claim the dragon. However, in the books, Sheep Stealer is claimed by a completely different character named Nettles. It would appear the show is combining Nettles with Rhaena, an idea that I don't love, but I suppose there is still a slight chance that Nettles will make the cut. The episode ends with Silverwing taking Ulf on a joyride over King's Landing. Silverwing's design is similar to Moondancer, Baela's dragon, which probably indicates that Moondancer hatched from one of Silverwing's eggs. Vhagar is too large to fit in the dragon pit with the rest of the dragons, so we see that Aemond has to park her outside of the city walls. Aemond pursues Silverwing to Dragonstone, but upon seeing Vermithor, Silverwing, and Syrax, he turns back. He now knows that Rhaenyra has more dragons and the ability to take King's Landing from the Greens.